What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we have 10 saddest Marvel and DC deaths. Number 10, Professor X. The Avengers vs. X-Men is a crossover event that featured a death no one will ever be able to forget about. The most tragic part of Charles Xavier's death is not why he died or how he died, it's who killed him. Scott Summers, better known as Cyclops, gives into the corrupting influence of the Phoenix and ends up killing Professor X. The reason why this death was so sad is because Charles was Scott's mentor and they have always seen each other as family. It's hard to find someone that's more sad than Charles being murdered by the man who was considered his son. Some fans really liked the storyline and thought it was necessary for the plot, while others didn't like it at all. Number 9, Blue Beetle. Ted Kord's death is one of the most memorable moments in the DC universe. In the 80-page special Countdown to Infinite Crisis, Blue Beetle discovers an organization that's led by Maxwell Lord. Ted is captured by Lord, who later explains to him that his intent is to use the organization to make sure that metahumans will keep under surveillance and controlled by humans. Lord asks Ted to join his organization, but there's no way Blue Beetle was going to allow himself to betray his superhero friends. Ted refuses to join and says, "Rot in hell, Max." This causes Lord to murder Ted by putting a bullet through his head. Number 8, Jean Grey. This X-Men character has died more times than one can count, but there is this one particular death that stood out the most. The Dark Phoenix saga is a very iconic X-Men storyline that focused on Jean Grey and the Phoenix Force. After Jean's supposed death in the spaceship, she is resurrected by the Phoenix, which made her more powerful than she already was. The major problem with this was that she basically had the power to destroy the whole world. She was put on trial for mass genocide by the Shi'ar Empire. Jean and the X-Men are ordered to fight to death. But she ended her own life because she would rather die as a human than live to become a god. Even though some people joke around about Jean dying all the time, there's no denying that this death was extremely sad. Number 7, Supergirl. It's almost impossible to read the 7th issue of the Crisis on Infinite Earths without shedding at least one tear. During a battle with the Anti-Monitor, Superman cries out in pain and Supergirl comes to the rescue. The Anti-Monitor is about to kill Superman by using an energy blast, but Supergirl saves her cousin by using all of her strength to attack the enemy. Even though she's very strong, it wasn't enough to defeat the villain because he is way too powerful. The Anti-Monitor kills her by sending a titanic energy blast through her body. The saddest part about her death was probably seeing Superman's reaction because keeping her safe was all that he ever wanted to do. The issue ends with Superman setting her free in space and he says that he will miss her forever. Number 6, Wolverine. The death of Wolverine is a storyline that will never be forgotten. It all started when a virus from the microverse took away his healing factor, which made it much easier for his enemies to kill him. Mr. Fantastic wanted to help him by finding a way to reactivate his healing power, but Wolverine doesn't really need any help because he decides to accept who he is. While he is trying to travel to an island in Canada, he was attacked many times by agents, ninjas, and assassins because there has been a bounty placed on his head. He goes all the way to paradise and figures out that Dr. Abraham Cornelius, the founder of the Weapon X program, has been trying to replicate what he did to Wolverine. Luckily, he defeats Cornelius, but it came with a terrible cost. Wolverine gets covered with adamantium and it slowly suffocates him to death. Number 5, the Winter Soldier. Bucky Barnes is one of the most loved characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What many fans don't know is that he was originally not supposed to be a major character in the comics. In the Avengers issue that came out in 1968, Bucky died and Steve felt very guilty because he couldn't save his friend. After this happened, Marvel didn't have any plans to bring him back from the dead. He stayed dead for 40 years until one day Ed Brubaker decided that it was finally time for Bucky to return to the Captain America comics. In 2005, Marvel brought him back as a Winter Soldier, which was one of the best decisions they've ever made because he is now a fan favorite character. Number 4, Red Hood. His death is considered one of the most popular moments in the DC universe. When he was Robin, some fans weren't really a big fan of Jason Todd because they thought he was just an arrogant kid, which isn't true at all. DC made a risky move when they allowed the fans to choose whether or not Jason should live. Sadly, more people voted to kill him off, so that's exactly what DC did. In the death of a family, the Joker brutally beat Jason with a crowbar, and then he blew up the building that he was in. Batman tried to save Robin, but when he arrived at the warehouse, it was already too late. Jason's death made a major impact in Batman's life because he has always seen him as a son. In 2005, Jason made a return in Under the Red Hood, which is one of DC's best story arcs. As soon as Jason was brought back from the dead by the Lazarus Pit, everyone fell in love with the anti-hero Red Hood. Number 3, The Flash. For this superhero, there are actually 2 important characters that had a very sad death, and that's Barry Allen and Bart Allen. Let's begin with Barry, who had a heroic death in the 8th issue of Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Anti-Monitor creates a weapon that is powerful enough to destroy many Earths. The Flash runs as fast enough to contain the energy inside the cannon, which is how he stops the antimatter cannon from firing. Barry saved billions of lives, but sadly he died, or at least fans thought he did. Later on, it was revealed that Barry actually didn't die, he just merged with the Speed Force. Bart Allen now, the 4th Flash and Barry's grandson, also had a tragic death. During a battle, the Rogues had a machine that drains the Speed Force from an individual and they used it on Bart, which is how he died. Number 2, Captain America. Months before the movie Civil War came out, predictions and rumors about Steve possibly dying were spreading around faster than the Flash can run. As we all know, he didn't die in the movie, but what some people don't know is that he did die in the comics. When Captain America was taken into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, he was shot and killed by a sniper. There were 2 shooters, a villain named Crossbones and Sharon Carter, who was brainwashed. Iron Man and Black Widow worked together to find the person who killed Steve, while Falcon decides to follow his own lead. Bucky blames Tony for Steve's death because if there was never a Civil War, then his best friend would still be alive. Later on in the comics, Bucky takes the mantle of Captain America. And number 1, Superman. The death of Superman is a comic book storyline that most people have heard about. The fight between Doomsday and Superman is something that the fans will always remember. They fought for what felt like an eternity until finally they could no longer take it anymore. Superman and Doomsday collapse and die from their wounds. Superman died in the arms of the woman he loves the most, Lois Lane. Many people have tried multiple times to take down Superman, but Doomsday was one of the very few villains who were able to kill the Man of Steel. The reason why his death was so surprising is because no one thought that DC would ever kill their most popular character. Of course, DC couldn't let this iconic superhero stay dead forever, so they revealed that Superman actually never died. He was just in a coma and his heartbeat was so low that it was undetectable. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what we should do next. Thank you again. I will see you all in the next video.